Hi there, physical science and chemical and chemistry science students. We just had a video on physical and chemical changes, some of the concepts, beginning concepts and introduction. And so now we're going to get into matter changing state. So what exactly does that mean? So I want you to copy this down, and there are some questions coming up that I want you to answer. I'm going to answer some of them, but there are some of them that I want you to answer. Whichever ones I don't, fill out the list and turn it in. So here's matter changing state. And we're not talking about it going from California to Arizona. We're talking about it going from solid to liquid to gas, right? And back and forth. So you can see here how solid and liquid and gas, it goes back and forth. So if it goes from a solid to a liquid, it's called melting. You see that arrow on the left-hand side? And if it goes from a liquid to a solid, it's called freezing. If it goes from a liquid to a gas, it's called vaporization. Evaporating, sometimes we call it, but it's becoming a vapor, it's becoming a gas. Vaporization. If it goes from a gas to a liquid, it's condensation. It's what happens when water goes up, it evaporates up into the air, and then when it gets a little bit colder, it condenses into small droplets, and it forms clouds. That's how clouds are formed. And there, up on the upper right-hand side, talking about solid to a gas, that's sublimation. And then from a gas to a solid, when it straight goes from a gas to a solid, that's called deposition. Okay, so you can see where it definitely, it's kind of like the rock cycle, has its own circular path. In this case, it's a triangular path. Okay, and so let's go ahead and see what else we got. So here is the completion. So I want you to complete the sentences below using the words in the bank. You can see these words: boiling, freezing point, boiling point, melting, condensation, melting point, evaporation, sublimation, freezing, and vaporization. Okay? So the type of vaporization that takes place below the surface of a liquid is called what? What is that? The type of vaporization that takes place below the surface of a liquid is called, what is that? Okay? Is that boiling? Kind of is, isn't it? Yeah. Liquids boil at a specific temperature called the boiling point. The melting point of a substance is also the same as the, what do you think? So if it's at the same temperature, liquids boil at a specific temperature, maybe that's, wonder what that is. All right, look that up. Okay, and as we go down farther, here's number 5. I'm not going to answer all these for you, but here's number 5. Rather, when matter changes from a solid to a liquid, the process is called, what is the process when it goes from a solid to a liquid? Melting, right? Yeah. The reverse of melting is called what? Freezing. Okay, I'm taking the easy ones, aren't I? Okay, number 7. In blank, particles change directly from solid to a gas. What is that called? That is called, is that called deposition? Wait a minute, let's go back up here and take a look. What is that called? From a solid to a gas. It is called deposition, doesn't it? Yep. So it deposits itself, on something. Okay, so here is crystalline solids melt at a specific temperature called their melting point. Pretty easy, huh? Okay, so here's a diagram that you're going to need to look at as you answer the following questions. Okay, you can see the arrow on the left, that's the temperature rising. Okay, here's the temperature rising. And this is thermal energy. This is as more energy is applied. In other words, thermal energy is the same thing as heat. As heat is applied, what happens? Okay, things they reach their melting point, don't they? They reach their point where they're going to change from a solid to a liquid, and then from a liquid to a gas. This is an interesting. Okay, so looks like there's a time here where it's a solid, and then it's just got this period here, this time frame, where it's just kind of taking all this energy in, and that's really what happens. It's taking all this energy in, and it is, what's it doing? It's melting. So this is the melting point. If we had a point there, we would see that would be the melting point of that solid and changing into a liquid. Then it's into a liquid state throughout this, and then here is that evaporization point. Okay, or sometimes, what is it called? It is called, let's go back up here and take a look. Okay, vaporization, evaporation. Okay, so it's a point on the chart where it changes from a liquid. Okay, so this is this point on the chart where it changes from a liquid into a gas, and then it's all gas from that point on. Okay, so here's some questions. What is happening to the temperature and thermal energy of line segments A to B? Let's go back up here to A to B. A to B. What is happening to the temperature and the thermal energy? Well, it's going up, isn't it? Yeah, it's going way up. Temperature's going way up. Okay. Right? And the thermal energy is going up too, isn't it? Applying more thermal energy, in other words, applying more heat, increases the temperature of whatever this substance is, isn't it? Sure does. And you chefs, you cooks, you guys you're gonna recognize this right away, huh? Number 12, if the substance is being heated at line A, the change of state is called, its change of state is going from a solid to a liquid, and that's called what? Melting. Change of state is called going from, heated at line A, and the change of state is called melting. So I'm going to slow this down, let you write all this. You can always stop the video and copy this down, okay? And then be able to go ahead and write down the answers and submit them to me, and you will get points. Okay, so multiple choice, number 19. Clouds, fog, and steam that you can see are all examples of what state of matter? Clouds, fog. What is that? What state of matter is that? Is it a gas or is it a liquid? It kind of sounds like a gas, but wait a minute, we can see because that's water, isn't it? Mostly in a form of water. What is that? Plasma? It's not plasma. Okay, it's not a solid. Or is it a solid? Is it a gas? Is it back to a liquid? Okay. All right, anyway, I need you to research that and find out what it is. Number 20, an ice cube that gets smaller while resting in a freezer is an example of what? What is that? An example of what? Is it melting? No, I don't think it's melting, is it? It's just getting smaller. Is it freezing? It's already frozen. Is it evaporating? Or is it sublimation? Let's go back up here and take a look at this diagram again. Okay? So let's make sure that we got this pretty zeroed in. Huh? Okay, so you can see over on the right hand side, when liquid becomes a gas, the process is called vaporization. When vaporization occurs at the surface, it is called evaporation. When it occurs throughout the liquid, it's called boiling. Yep. Sometimes a solid can turn directly into gas like dry ice. It's called sublimation. The opposite of sublimation is deposition. Frost is an example. So when frost occurs on trees and other things, that is deposition. That's where water is being frozen right on the leaf or the tree or the house or whatever. Okay, so you've got your work to do. So let's go ahead and answer all those questions that we identified, okay? And then be able to do a couple of these little short ones. And I think you're in pretty good shape after that, okay? There you go. Back down. Okay, hope everything's okay. And there's more of this. I've got one more video on this that I want you to all to take a look at and to complete and answer these questions. And thank you very much.